Danny, I suppose looking back at Saturday, it was kind of a similar pattern out between the sides entirely in the season. Kind of how did you see the game play out from your point of view?
Yeah, look, I think looking back on the game and watching it back from the week after the weekend, and look, we felt we done what we needed to do in the first half, and we had certain targets to hit as a group and as a team, and we done that really well in the first half, and we limited them to not having a shot on goal. And second half, I think the early goal kind of kills all your game plan and your momentum in terms of what you'd built in the first half. So I think we lost our way a little bit in terms of our shape, and we became quite open. But I would say, in terms of what we worked on during the week, like there was elements still of it after we went 1-0 down. We kind of had a little go at them after being 1-0 down, and I think the second goal kind of killed us a little bit. And then probably we made a few subs and we lose a little bit of shape and organisation, and it then leads into the goals that we conceded. But I think that we can learn from it and improve and keep improving. But I think first half was very similar to up there. We held them to 0-0, and we just got to implement the things that we did so well in the first half and carry them on and not concede so early in the second half like we did in both games.
Ellie, I guess I think everyone could see watching the game there and on LOI TV that the work rate that everyone was putting in. Is it a case that we were just kind of running out a little bit of steam, a little bit of tiredness, and then Rovers can bring on Anya O'Gorman, and everyone on the Rovers team can get a bit of a lift at that stage?
Yeah, I think in the first half, we stuck to the game plan, it was good. But in the second half, I think we got a bit tired and switched off, and at this level you can't switch off, or teams like Shamrock Rovers will just punish you then.
Yeah, and look, Danny, I think everyone kind of saw in the post-match interview the emotional investment you put into the team and how disappointed you were. How do we bridge that gap to teams like Shamrock Rovers? Is it just finances, or is it like that those few experienced players they had, like Anya O'Gorman and Stephanie Zamber, just the position she took up for her goal? What's that bridge, do you think?
Yeah, no, look, it's a good question, and it's difficult to answer because my probably demeanour after the game interview wasn't great in terms of my body language and the way I spoke, but I spoke to the girls about that yesterday, and I asked how they felt about it, and ultimately we're a group and we're together, and if I'm going to make comments after a game, it can't affect the team. And we spoke about it after, and to be fair, the girls, I was probably expecting a lot worse back from the girls than what I got, but it was actually kind of nice, the things that they said back, because they could see that we do care, and as a staff and as a group, we do care, and we don't like losing, and we want to win games. And I think when we all put the effort we've put in all week and the hours we've put into it as a staff and as a group of players, it's hard sometimes after the game, and probably I need to take more time myself to literally digest the game a little bit more and before coming out and talking. And I think I struggle with losing, and I struggle with it after games, and I've been honest with the girls that I don't find that easy, and I do find it hard, and sometimes I'll say things I don't really mean, and I always end up saying sorry on a Monday, but they normally accept it. But I think I was a bit more worried about what I might get back this week. And no, look, I'm big enough and ugly enough to know that when you make mistakes, you just got to own it, and you've got to come back and you've got to talk to the players. And ultimately, we believe in them as players, and we know they can get there. We are on the young side, and we've still got a lot of development to do. And I still think that we can get to where they're at. And I think the likes of Ellie and Eva and Fiona and the young girls that are playing in the team, they can be the next, Abby Larkin or the next Anya O'Gorman, and we're good enough to do that. And we've got to show that more on the pitch and when we play games, and we know that as a group, and the girls know that themselves. And we've got to turn our training form and the cup form into league form and start picking up some results. And look, we've had discussions on it, and we speak about it as a group, and we're all quite open and honest with each other, so we all know where we're at and what we need to do. But it's difficult to get a Stephanie Roach or someone like that here, because look, we're down in Cork, and you've got to house them, you've got to get them a job, you've got to then pay them to play football, and it's a massive expense that comes with it, and we're probably not set up at that way at the moment.
Yeah, and I suppose one of the positives from the weekend as well, though, was with the club went out into all the players were acknowledging their school boys and school girls clubs that have brought them this far. And Ellie, I guess there was a big crowd there again on Saturday, really vocal support. Like on a personal level, how important is that kind of support from the stands? Does that drive you on in those tough games when it's getting that a little bit more difficult and tiredness is kicking in?
Yeah, like I remember there was a point in the first half, I think it was like the 25th minute, I looked up at the clock and like I could just hear all the girls screaming and shouting, and I was like, alright, I have to push on here.
Very good. And I suppose, look, the game this weekend now, our previous game against Peamount was actually really tight. It was a narrow 2-1 loss. Lauren Walsh got a goal late on, and in that game we actually finished the stronger. Peamount have gone on and consistently kind of ground out wins, found a way to win every week. It's been the story of their season, but I mean, I think there's possibly a chance there to upset them. All the pressure's on them.
Yeah, look, we go into every game trying to win it. You know, we don't go into games trying to, you know, get a draw or try and make sure we keep the scoreline down. Like we had a game plan on Saturday, and the plan was to look, keep them to 60, 70 minutes at 0-0, and then really go and make some changes and have a go at them, and kind of hopefully they become a little bit exposed and go for the win, and we can then exploit them in them areas. And as I said, concede early after the second half, it kind of throws your game plan out the window a little bit. But I think, look, going there on the Saturday, like, we've got nothing to lose. Like, we're good enough to go and beat any side in the league, in my opinion. And I think that when we're on our day, we can beat anyone. And we just need to be more consistent in our performance, and it be a 90-minute performance instead of, you know, 45 or 60. And I think when we played Peamount at home, won it, they first half we wasn't great. We'd done some good things, but in second half we was so much better. And you're like going, it's in them to do it, and they can do it. They've just got to believe that they can go into these games and win them.
Yeah, and that actually kind of leads me into the next question I was going to ask Ellie. Like, we've got Peamount now and then faced into Rovers again in the Cup. It's been a tough season results-wise, but like on a personal level within the camp, can you see how you're coming along and growing, and is there still confidence there that we say that we still have things to play for?
Yeah, I think the thing about us is like we won't give up easily. Like, we were disappointed over the match last week, but like we're not going to let that affect us going into this week or the following week. We're just going to drive on.
And I guess one thing that all supporters will be looking to understand or to hope for is to see Eva back in action. Is there any update on her? Will the Peamount game come a little bit too soon for her?
Yeah, I think it's going to be too soon for Eva for the Peamount game. I think listen, we all want her back. Everyone wants her back. The girls want her back, but at the end of the day, like, there's no rush. We can't rush it, and you can't with something like what she's done, and you rush her back at like 80-90%. It's just going to end up happening again, and you're going to lose her for another 3-4 games potentially. So, you know, we're kind of planning without Eva this weekend, and that's how we're going to approach the game. And look, if she's back next week, brilliant, but we're not really planning to have her around this weekend.